Hi everyone, welcome. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Kristine and I'm a product manager at Yelp. I've been a product manager at different companies and saw how the role of a product manager can vary greatly depending on the company and the industry that you're in. So over time, I've developed what I like to call my PM philosophy, which is a framework of the key ingredients that make up a great PM no matter where you're at. So, with that, I bet a lot of you came here today expecting to hear what that secret sauce to being a great PM is. What is that most important skill to being a great PM? Well, the secret sauce that I wanted to talk to you about is none of these that you see here. Don't get me wrong, these are all very important skills for a product manager to have, but whether you're a great PM isn't defined by a specific skill. Oftentimes, some of these skills are even looked at as qualifications for being a great PM. But the three key ingredients that to the secret sauce that make a great PM that I wanted to share with you today are empathy, balance, and the concept of being jack of all trades. These three ingredients can be practiced and obtained by anyone who is passionate about wanting to build a meaningful and great product or service, regardless of the background that you have. Now, before I get into details of each of these, I want to give a quick intro about myself. I'm a product manager in the consumer contributions team at Yelp, where I think about ways to engage our consumers with content and the community through contributing in various ways as well. Before Yelp, I was a product manager for two different companies. One was a fashion technology company called Stella and Dot, where I helped women create and share styles and lookbooks with others through a mobile platform. The other company was a sports technology company called Stats Perform, where I worked with sports media companies as well as sports leagues to generate visually compelling infographics based on real-time sports data. Prior to being a PM, I spent about a year at Bosch conducting a lot of user research and interviews, and that's where I worked closely with product managers to help convey user stories as well as lead a lot of brainstorming and user-centered discussions. Prior to Bosch, I worked at several companies, qual sites formerly named Giorama, Procter & Gamble, Northwestern Medicine Hospital as consultant, where I helped identify key user pain points and help innovate around one of their core products and user experiences. So I hope this gives you a little bit more idea of who I am and how I got to be a PM. The three key ingredients that I'm about to talk to you more about has really served as a guide for me to being a good PM now and in the past. All right, so starting with empathy. What is empathy by definition? Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. I put in a quote here, which I think really explains empathy well. Empathy is seeing with the eyes of another, listening with the ears of another, and feeling with the heart of another. So it's really about being in the shoes of another and experiencing things from their point of view. Now, why is empathy critical for being a great PM? Empathy is critical in two ways. One, as a product manager, you have to have empathy for your customer. This is all about understanding what your customers need and want and always keeping the user in mind when you're thinking of ideas and building the product. Empathy is often only talked about in the context of customers. However, the second part of empathy that you need to have is the empathy towards the teams and stakeholders that you work with to successfully ship the product. You're going to be working with various teams every single day, so understanding their perspective and where they're coming from is going to help you have really great conversations and collaborate even better so that you can bring your idea to life. An example I have is during my early years of being a product manager, I had once put together this product strategy and product proposal. And when I first brought it to the engineers, I immediately got a no, this is not possible. And the legal team also had concerns regarding some things that I didn't even know that was an issue. So I sitting down with different teams and really understanding the why behind the no's and understanding how they are seeing things, what matters from their perspective, really helped me rescope this product proposal in ways that made more sense to different stakeholders. And in the end, we were able to have a much more fruitful discussion around what is possible instead of what is not. So moving on to balance. Balance is critical for being a great PM. There's a lot of things that a great PM needs to balance. In particular, I want to talk about 3 key areas where a product manager needs to balance all the time. One is the balance between being strategic and being tactical. 2 is being likable versus holding firm. 3 is following your gut versus following evidence or data. Let's start with being strategic versus being tactical. What does being strategic mean? Strategic is all about doing the right things. What makes sense for you to do? This is thinking about the right industry trends that you anticipate participating in, whether what you're building brings value to the customers and solves their need, and whether it aligns with the company's future direction and growth. So this is really all about setting the goal and the mission for why you're doing what you're doing. Now, being tactical is doing the things right. How are you going to get it done? So this is about thinking about what resources do you need and are available? What are the risks and challenges? These go hand in hand. It's not always the strategy that comes before the tactics. Oftentimes the tactics can help shape the strategy. For example, if there is a new industry trend that you're not super sure about, but you can outline a cost-effective way to pilot test in that industry, then you might go for it, and depending on the outcome, that would shape the strategy moving forward. The second balance that I want to talk to you about is being likable and holding firm. As a product manager, you are a CEO of your product. And that means that you are working with a lot of different teams and guiding them to bring your idea to life. And to do so, it is so important to earn the respect, trust, and affection of your team and stakeholders. But at the same time, being a CEO of your product means you are accountable for the success and or failure of your product. And this means that you need to prioritize as well. So know when to push your team to meet specific deadlines, and there's going to be a lot of requests that come your way as well. So don't be afraid to say no when some of those requests go against the priorities that you've outlined. The last part of balance that I want to talk to you about is following your gut versus following evidence or data. Now, following your gut is all about having that intuitive sense of what to do next. And this is really where inspirational ideas come and groundbreaking breakthroughs come out. And this is based on the deep understanding of market, who your users are, your company's mission. But at the same time, in order to have that deep understanding and develop that intuition, you need to also be able to compile and make sense of real evidence such as user feedback, competitive insight, data analysis. These all shape your intuition, and also it helps create momentum from your stakeholders for new ideas that you have. I think this one is the most intertwined of all 3 areas of balance, where it's a cycle. You need data to develop your intuition, and once you have your intuition, you also want to make sense and gather the right data to back up your intuition. So this is very critical part of being able to balance in your everyday product manager life. Last but not least, I want to talk about the third ingredient, which is this concept of being jack of all trades. Before I dive into this one, I want to take a step back and try to answer what it means to be a product manager. Some of you may have seen this diagram. This is from a design thinking framework, but a PM sits in the center of UX, technology, and business. What does this mean? So UX is all about desirability. Do the users really want or need this? Business, this is about viability. Should we do this? Does it make sense for our mission? Does it make sense for us to do? Lastly, technology is the feasibility. Can we do it? What does it take for us to do it? So this tells us a little bit more about what areas we sit in the middle of. But still, what does it really mean to be involved in these three areas? It really looks a little bit more like this to be a product manager and be involved in those areas. But even this doesn't quite show exactly what it really means to be a product manager, because it actually looks a lot more like this. There may be more, but the point is, you're always working with so many different teams, and it's going to make you build knowledge across such a breadth of area. And that's where I want to come back to the ingredient that I talked about, which is the jack of all trades. The takeaway here is that you don't need to be an expert in everything, but be a bridge that connects everything. Jack of all trades comes from a figure of speech that refers to someone that can dabble in many different areas of skill sets. And so someone that has a very broad set of knowledge. I do want to stop short of completing the full figure of speech, which is jack of all trades, master of none, because for product managers, the jack of all trades part is true. And actually, a lot of product managers have expertise in a single or a few area. So it's actually more like this, where product managers are jack of all trades in addition to having an expertise in a single skill set or an area. Another way to look at this is this concept of being a T-shaped person. A T-shaped person is someone that has a depth of knowledge, so a deep level of expertise in one area, yet at the same time can collaborate across multiple disciplines. And so this can look different for every different product managers. So there may be a product manager that has a deep expertise in sales and marketing, in user experience or SEO. But the point is that they can span a breadth of knowledge across other areas that's not their expertise. So with that all said, how do you really be that jack of all trades, T-shaped product manager? First, learn quickly. Always be ready to pick up on a lot of knowledge, topics, and skills that you are unfamiliar about or have never even done before. 2, communicate cross-functionally. And the key here is that know how to extract the right information and data and relay that to the right teams efficiently. 3, be humble. Learn from the experts in each area. And last but not least, be confident in what you know and what you do not know. When you don't know something, be confident in your dedication and ability to find out what that is. Your teams are going to rely on you to get the answers. They're not going to expect you to know everything, but they're going to expect you to help get the right answers. So all in all, I want to end with a summary. There are 3 key ingredients that make up a great PM. 1 is empathy. This is having empathy towards your customers as well as towards your team and the stakeholders that you work with. 2 is balance. The main areas of balance that's going to take up everyday life for a great product manager is being strategic versus tactical, being likable versus holding firm, and trusting your gut versus following the evidence and data. The third ingredient is this concept of being jack of all trades, where you got to pick up on things very quickly, communicate cross-functionally, be ready to learn, humble, and it's okay if you don't know something, but be confident in your dedication to get the answers to what you don't know. So with all this, I hope that now you have the not so secret sauce to being a great PM. Thanks again for joining me today. And please let me know if you have any questions, and hope you have a great rest of the day. Bye.